Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and PvP on the beta still is a bit of a debacle. Since the last time the Blizzard saw the community's reaction to the different pieces of gear that you can get from your PvP vendors, and especially the lack of secondary stats that you can pick from, not really having a lot of choices, it does seem that Blizzard decided to go back to the drawing board to try to see if they can address the issue. Blizzard is going to be tackling this on with a lot of versatility on gear, as well as making a 2-piece set bonus for PvP in particular. This hopefully should discourage things like bikes from the Mechagon dungeon or Dressed from the raid, overpowering majority of the PvP. But is this the change the PvP community will like or even want? Let's take a look at what Blizzard is thinking of implementing and break down in terms of how it's going to affect the community and how I personally feel about these changes. As we mentioned in last week's Shadowlands development update, we heard a lot of feedback from the PvP community that Conquest vendors in Shadowlands don't offer enough of most players' desired stats. Our current plan to address these concerns should become available in the Shadowlands beta over the next couple of weeks. First, we are shifting the stat distribution on Conquest gear to always include versatility. There should be 2 out of 3 combinations: versatility, haste, versatility mastery, and versatility crit, available for every slot. While versatility isn't the closest thing we can get to PvP resilience, versatility has been the stat that quite a lot of players, at least in Battle for Azeroth Season 3 and Season 4, started navigating towards. This was even easier with Corruptions, where you could actually gain so much versatility that players could become literal tanks. Even now, versatility and having some versatility on your stats is necessary for PvP combat in order to survive some massive one-shots and big bursts. It's not quite as great as some of the stats like going for a haze build, big mastery build, or even a critical strike build, but versatility has been used quite often by PvPers. Blizzard is mentioned here that versatility, since that seems to be the PvP stat that a lot of PvPers gravitate towards, will be on every single slot. So while you can't have all versatility haste on every single piece of gear, having versatility haste and some versa mastery at least will allow you always versatility as your primary stat to stack. Secondly, we are adding a 2-piece set bonus activated by equipping 2 PvP trinkets, such as Crowd Control Break Medallion or Throughput, Battle Master's Dominance, etc. trinkets. This bonus will increase the damage and healing benefit of versatility, but not the defensive benefit while in arenas, battlegrounds, or war mode. So adding this 2-set slot, first of all, eliminates PvE trinkets, or hopefully it will. We don't know how good this will be and how big this buff might be, but the hopes are we won't have dressed gaffs everywhere, or bikes, or claws from mod, or any of the other dungeon trinkets or raid trinkets. Nothing is more infuriating than, oh, you want a PvP? Well, you gotta farm this dungeon boss. Or you want to get into arenas? You gotta do a raid. You feel like you should be able to PvP and get the best pieces of gear so you can PvP better. So adding a 2-piece set bonus to PvP trinkets will hopefully make the game a little bit less broken because, well, everybody will be using same PvP trinkets. Just different kinds like, you know, the CC breakers, the proc trinkets on use. We most likely will still see Maledicts and maybe even absorb trinkets in the future, but who knows, we'll just have to wait and see. The extra versatility you gain is simply just a stat increase, like PvP power. Since versatility will be on every piece, that's already a defensive bonus to everybody. But then you now have versatility increasing your output. Just a flat bonus increase. We don't know by how much right now, as this just has been announced, but it says in arenas, battlegrounds, and in war mode, your versatility benefit will be better. So in a way, versatility even further becomes kind of like PvP power or even PvP resilience, without really becoming a separate stat. Versatility will be the defensive stat that you'll use, but also it will just simply increase your damage output in PvP-based combat as long as you have the double trinket setup. You guys can tell me in the comments if I'm the only one, but when I imagine gear with PvP power or PvP resilience, for example, if let's say Blizzard did bring those back, wouldn't Blizzard have to sacrifice secondary stats in order to add more PvP power and PvP resilience into pieces? I mean, imagine if you have a full set of resilience gear that gives you the most amount of damage reduction from players, and let's say you also added extra versatility. I don't think Blizzard would allow players to be this tanky, allow them to gigastack Versa and have a lot of PvP resilience. So you'll probably have less versatility and other stats while you're at it, since PvP power already just buffs all the damage or healing you do. Basically what versatility currently does right now. So in my mind, it's hard for me to imagine a scenario where they don't have a sacrifice-based secondary stats and then just kind of push in the PvP power and resilience in there. And hey, maybe I'm the only one who actually looked at gear and had this warped, weird view about it. But in my mind, if that is how they would have to balance the PvP resilience and power, then wouldn't versatility be a better stat? Because versatility gains benefits in PvP, but outside of PvP, you still have verse. It's not the most optimal and optimized stat ever. Some classes have great mastery where they can take the most amount of advantage of the damage they can put out. Other classes can maybe cast spells very quickly, so haste is great for them. Maybe other classes have synergies with critical strike, like a Death Knight, getting those big obliterates back to back to back. My idea is, if let's say someone is a gladiator player, plays at a really high level in PvP, but they want to do some mythic pluses for maybe a conduit or two. Maybe they're trying to get a specific set of gear for, I don't know, a build. Maybe they're trying to get a legendary for another playstyle option inside of a raid on heroic. Then those players will at least be able to take this Versa heavy gear, which while by no means is optimal for most classes don't really like Versa that much, but that gear would at least still give them the ability to do extra damage, extra healing. And while they might not hit the breakpoints and haste and crit and mastery, at least they could do something. I feel like a good player that's a gladiator will be able to school anybody in a random heroic, even if they have all versatility gear. But if they had gear with resilience and PvP power, that would be stats that would kind of hold them back outside of PvP combat. Because I literally cannot imagine having gear with this much verse as we have right now, but also resilience on top of it. The only way you could do that is maybe take out versatility altogether and offer haste, crit, mastery, where actually some classes actually do use Versa for damage, which would leave them left out. The Conquest vendor will not offer perfect coverage of every stat combination, but neither does any other single course of gear in WoW. A player who favors Haste Mastery cannot get a full set of Haste Mastery gear from raiding alone, so if you're someone who wants to be absolutely optimal, you'll benefit from branching out across multiple types of content. Nonetheless, the result of these changes should be a majority of the gear PvP now comes through PvP system. I feel like this one is going to rub some people the wrong way. Some players just want to be able to 100% gear from PvP, get the best slot pieces that are PvP only just from PvP. But they are right. If you are a raider, if let's say you're a fire mage, you will want to PvP until you can get the badge in order to perform better in raids, to be, I guess, a better, well-rounded player, if you want to put it like that. Raiders will have to do some mythic pluses to get maybe a trinket or a item, or maybe certain specific statted gear in order to max out the DPS inside of a raid. And for PvP, at least, and I guess this is me trying to look at the bright side of things, at least you won't have to be grinding dungeons over and over until you get Tiku, until you get your bike, until you get your Krog Tusk, or any of the other trinkets or items that you needed to get in dungeons in order to be competitive and effective in BFA PvP. All you would need to do is get the secondary stats. You will still have the most important stat in your gear, versatility. This will be the stat that will increase all effective damage and effective healing. But if you feel like you need more haste to get your spells out faster, doing a couple dungeons or maybe a couple boss fights to get those specific stats on gear is not the worst thing ever. But I don't think this change will be nearly as bad as currently in BFA. A warrior with a Katiku and a warrior without a Katiku is literally like day and night difference. Finally, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think about these changes. These changes should be happening in a build for beta as soon as possible, and hopefully Blizzard will do a pretty big invite of a bunch of players to test this out, because this change sounds really good on paper. But now we need to do the rigorous side of testing things and trying things out and seeing how strong we are, and potentially maybe somebody who does arenas will finally have more advantage in PvP than someone who does Mythic plus spam and Mythic raids. And I think if we can reach that goal, I think that'll be wonderful. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your thoughts are on this blue post from Blizzard in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one.